Okay, here we are, Tony. Tony's LPSRUS. Thanks for dropping in today. We have a very special guest today, Angel Freeman, who is the wife of the legendary keyboard player of Nectar, ALLAN Taft Freeman. And you all know Nectar. Nectar's beloved. There's dozens of channels on YouTube just devoted to Nectar albums, their concerts, etc. Now, Angel, thanks for sharing your memories of Taft with us and your memories of Nectar. Can you just tell us a little bit about what how you met Taft to start off with, and then we'll go on. And then we have some rare memorabilia that, if you could see in the background here, I'm really privileged to show this for the first time in years, an actual gold record that was presented to the legendary Taft. So yeah, Angel, so how'd you guys meet?
So it was kind of neat. I actually went on an edition, and it said European musicians, and it was in a magazine called The Aquarium, which is a musician magazine that I used to get all the time because I was a drummer and I would look for bands to jam with. And I just saw it. It said European musicians looking for a drummer. I'm actually Russian. I'm actually Russian orphan, and I ended up in New Jersey. And I go down to I believe they call it Star Studios now, but I went down there and I was jamming out with Kool and the Gang, and I was waiting for time for me to head down the hallway to go meet these guys. I walked inside the room and I said, "There's a beautiful Scotsman over there playing the keyboard. Somebody playing the German guy playing the guitar. A wife sitting on a sofa, and bass player played a Steinberger with no head on it. He had real long hair. He almost looked like Steve Perry." And I walked inside the room and I just set up my drums real fast, and I just see this keyboard player over there giggling. I guess because I was assembling everything real fast. And I said, "I'll tell you what, guys." I said, "We can definitely have a jam here." I said, "But I don't know no cover songs." And then Taft says, "Let's do it. Let's hit it." And then Taft started to play keyboards. And the next guy started to play. And it was a fantastic jam. And I just said, "Wow, that guy is good on that."
I remember you telling me there was a chemistry that was there. It was like some type of
it was like
something alchemy in the air. Now, what year was this?
Geez, I don't even know what year it is. Somebody just did a little Facebook site for me. They put some things up and try to. We've been together for 45 years. So
wow, so you're talking 45 years then? Yeah. Wow, and so that was the prime of Nectar.
Yeah,
that was the prime.
Yeah,
right.
And then I get done with the jam, and I start walking down the hallway, and this guy starts chasing after me. He says, "Hey, who are you?" To me, I was nobody, and He goes, "Who are you?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Do you have any idea you just played him with there?" I said, "Well, where?" I said, "I just got done playing with Kool and the Gang." He goes, No. He says, "Right, just where you are." And I said, "Yeah." I said, 5 Russian people, or not Russian, 5 European people. I'm sorry, that Russian comes out of me sometimes. And then he says, "Do you have any idea who he is?" And I actually didn't at the time. And he says, "Hello, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Genesis, just going on and on." I says, "I got to admit, I've actually heard of them." I says, I don't lie. I says, "Wow, I've never heard of them." I says, "I'll be sure to go home and check it out and do some investigation." Boy, oh boy, what I did, I was like, how did I miss this band?
Right.
How did I miss them? I was like,
right. And just to go back a little bit in the record, ALLAN Taft. Now, how did you get the nickname Taft? Was Taft? Was he born with that name?
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Tell us, because these stories. This is Tony again from Tony's LPSRUS, and we don't normally do interviews, but I met Angel. She touched my soul. We have like a chemistry ourselves in music, not in. I wish I could play like I tell her this, but we started talking about Nectar, and I said I have to get you on this channel. I want you to give. She has some issues that we're going to talk about. But first of all, I wanted to go back and just say Taft was born in 1945, passed away in 2021. He was born in June 7th, 45, so he just had a birthday from Glasgow, Scotland. Yep. And he's a progressive rock legend. So how did Taft come along? His father had an orchestra or something. Right.
As a matter of fact, I was walking in Scotland, and it was just like 1 in a million this could happen. And we were just walking. We took a side road because we're trying to find some place. And I love stained glass in churches. And I says, "Taffy, what is that in there?" He says, "Oh, it's a library." And I says, "Can we go in so I can just look at the stained glass, cobblestones and all that?" We go inside, and there's Taft's father, the first thing you walk up, you go up the stairs, and there's his father right on this mantle.
He was an organ player as well.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
And
right. So that was his
I
influence.
said, isn't that dad? Isn't that our dad?
Wow, wow.
And it had a picture of him. He was inside it too. So next thing you know, all the people in the library are all crowding around going, that's him. That's his son.
Wow.
That's Sonny right there.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how did he develop the name Taff? Is that his nickname?
Actually, because he's so sweet.
Oh, Taffy, because you call him Taffy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's Taft.
Yeah.
Taft is actually, it's for saltwater taffy, because
Right.
Taft is a very sweet gentleman. He's a very sweet guy, and a roadie actually gave him that name.
But he had that name on the first record, on every record. So it went back to 68, 67.
Yeah.
And wasn't he in a band called the Prophets?
Yes.
Prior to Nectar.
Yes.
Prior to Nectar, and then this was in Germany.
Yeah.
And then he met. Just give us the names of the band, the original band lineup.
The original band lineup is Taft Allen Freeman on keyboards and vocals, Roy O'Brayton on guitar and lead vocals, Ron Houghton on drums, and then Derek Moore on bass.
On bass, right?
That's the original band.
And they all got credited for writing all those songs. They all got credited on those records, and even the lighting crew got credited, but not on the publishing. But they did get the two lighting crew members were almost members of the band.
Yeah.
Now, how would you say that the band early on, or for the first 15, were they tight? Were they close as like family, brothers?
Yeah. Taft and Roy were very, very close.
Right. That was the guitar player.
Together. And if you look at if you listen and look at Sounds Like Swiss, which is a tape.
Yeah.
He made Sounds Like This after, but
Yeah.
you look at Sounds Like Swiss and you can see Taft playing, and the chemistry that's going back and forth between Roy.
That's available on DVD.
Absolutely.
Right,
And that's early on, and you just see them. Well, you got that. Well, I've got this.
Right.
You got that.
Right.
And they just push each other.
Right.
Until they became a pretzel.
Right.
And then it just became.
It's funny. They're actually thought of as German, but they're a UK band.
As a matter of fact, that needs a correction, because
Right.
everybody thought they were German, but they're not.
But they're not. They founded in German.
Yeah.
But I mean, the band was
Founded.
formed in Germany, but it's real nebulous. It's either I know they're UK, but I originally thought they were German because all the records came from Germany at first. Yeah, but they're actually UK. Right.
But actually, no. Actually, three of them are from the UK, and Taft is very much 100% Scottish.
Scottish,
There's
right?
a difference,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, from the Scottish
And they
point.
should have actually addressed that, because he was a very proud Scotsman.
Right. You know, Nectar is. Yeah. We don't talk about Sean Connery. I'm a big James Bond fan, and I show you my I'm going to get on today. We just had a little problem with our Wi-Fi today, so we're doing everything mobile. We needed to do this interview today. I wanted Angel to talk about share some moments with us. So that's my shirt. I wore this today for Taft, and we also talk about Sean Connery, who was a personal friend of Taft.
And he was from Scotland as well.
Yeah.
And he also died from the same disease.
We'll go in. But I just want to point out, Nectar is in the top 50 of all-time prog bands.
Yep.
And there's a lot of bands there.
Absolutely.
And the number one band is, I don't even think it's Pink Floyd. It's and Rush is up there high. Now for me, Nectar should be above Rush. But commercially they didn't do as well, maybe because of management or whatever reason. But I just listened to the first three Nectar albums. No, I didn't listen to the Center of the Eye.
Yeah,
Journey to the Center of the Eye yesterday, but I listened to the Tab in the Ocean, Remember the Future, and The Child.
Yeah, Magic is.
And let me tell you, was that Brooke Shields? Oh, I have to point that out. Okay, so because I'm going to do a channel just on those, but what struck me is, I believe that album was actually recorded in New Jersey.
Yes.
In West Orange,
Yes.
and there were a lot of them were mixed in New Jersey. But it's just the legacies. But let me tell you something. Taft, they're all geniuses. The four members, the original members, I all consider them geniuses. They never got to do that they were doing. Now maybe with this video, people will reinvent what they're listening to Nectar again, because I'm just fascinated by it. And I know you have some great stories. He was also in a band called The Message. Is that not? That's before that.
Yeah.
They were kids, right? They were young kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he did that. And he did a couple.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
also made an
Yeah.
album with Roy himself. I mean, Roy,
Wow.
he made Part of the Sun.
Right.
He flew over to London and.
That was in 2000, around 2000.
Yeah.
Right.
Roy had just got done getting a liver transplant. He said, "Hey, mate, come over." Taff always got asked to play on every album until he was, you know.
Yeah.
Until he
Yeah.
went.
Yeah. Yeah. What was Taft's, besides his father? What did he listen to, like band wise? Like, what do you guys listen to? Yeah.
I was very influenced by a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, you were never into prog before you met him, right?
Yeah.
You were more a rock and roll girl, like Motown, rock and roll, rhythm. Yeah, funk. Yeah, because you played drums for Cool and the Gang for some tours, right? Right.
I like it very much. That's
right. Yeah. So tell me, what was the bands you listened to?
Love and Money. A lot of them from Scotland. Deacon Blues.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know those. Right.
These really pretty albums.
Right.
Had a side to it, like 10cc's, Super Tramp.
Right.
All the stuff that he listened to. Oh, by the way, he does a really great version of Georgia on My Mind. He's a big Ray Charles fan.
Well, that's what. Well, you know what? There's interesting. If you go to Taft's obituary, which Angel really isn't happy with the company who owns that site, but there's not. I was really struck by how little there is about Taft online.
Yes. So
we'll go into that, but on that website, one of his friends reached out and said that he first met Taft in the Prophets singing "Georgia on My Mind."
Yeah. And
that's a soul song. Now, like, I know him for background vocals, and from what I read, from what people who did, he was just a warm soul who died too soon. Yeah. He was blessed. I know he loved you. You called you his little drummer angel or drummer girl, because you know. Yeah. Right. Well, let's jump a little bit. I remember there was something called Near Fest in the year 2002. Absolutely. In Trenton, and when we first talked, you told me an unbelievable story about that. Can you tell me about who was in the audience?
Yeah.
You know?
I believe I saw Roger Waters and David Gilmour, and they were like on different sides.
Wow.
Because it was a nice warm venue. And, you know, if you listen to both those bands, they are like really, really similar. And if somebody had pointed it out and I got a little tap on my tap, who are you here to see, you know? And it's just nice. It's nice. They were not the only ones there. There was several other late, you know.
Right. Well, that show sold out in minutes. Minutes. I wish I didn't.
It was a nice warm show, and that's why all this, you know, a lot of famous people should have.
Yeah, I saw some.
The original band.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here I'm gonna quote, if you don't mind. I'm going to quote this quote from his obituary, okay? Because a lot of people weren't able to write. I think they shut it down. Maybe you didn't like how it was. But you ever hear of a Gary Forch? Yeah, here's his name right there, written down. See it right there, written down. So I'm just going to read what he wrote. Now, this was June 17th, 2023. He saw the obituary. And what I found, too, on a lot of the websites now, and I'm really upset about this, because this guy people should know what happened to Taft. Yeah. And people are saying, where's Taft? And people are saying, sorry to say, Taft passed away, and they don't even know. But this is what Gary wrote. He goes, this you're gonna cry, okay? I met Allan in Germany in 1968. He was playing in a band called the Prophets, and I was in a band called the Willow Pattern. I remember Allan singing "Georgia on My Mind." What a great voice, and a quiet but fun guy. I didn't meet up with Allan in the early 70s a number of times with Nectar and have some great memories. I was so shocked and saddened to come across his obituary. Love and peace, Gary Forch. And this is June 17, 2003. So that's what I learned about that song. And you mentioned it. So yeah. So tell me more about the Near Fest. There were other people there as well?
Yeah.
Like,
as you were saying on that topic there, something else. Hall of Fame. They were somewhere inducted into the Hall of Fame, and the guy calls me up, and he texts me, he says, "Oh my God, you're Taft's wife." He says, "This is not Hall of Fame. This is a Hall of Shame." So Nectar is not in the Hall of Fame. No, they are in the Hall of Fame. he says, like,
You should have a golden ticket to the Hall of Fame.
well, he says, I went over to Mel and asked him, where's Taft? Where's Taft?
Yeah.
And he kept dodging it. And he says, now if I got that he's dead, he says, I'm hurt. He goes,
He's shocked.
they should be the Hall of Shame, not fame.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Yeah. 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 What did Taft, when Taft was sick, if you want to tell us what he was sick of? Because people don't know.
It's the same thing that Sean Connery had and Bruce Willis at the moment. It's called frontal lobe dementia. It's very, very rare that musicians get it at all. It hits the frontal cortex of your head. He wanted to be private, and so he said if I break a bone, it's fair game, camera. If I do this, it's fair camera. But he was a very shy guy with no ego, and he says, but if I get the same things that my two sisters died from, just please, just give me my privacy, because he just didn't want to die with like somebody like degrading them or making fun of him because he can't eat soup. But the crazy part is that never happened.
Take a drink. Yeah.
That never happened.
Take a sip. Yeah.
That never happened.
Well, he always kept it. He always kept his grace. Yeah. It's a shame that it would hit, and it hit Connery, who had a photographic memory, Bruce Willis, who was an actor who can memorize, and it's just a very rare disease, you know.
And you don't lose that person much. You lose them 1,000 times.
Right. Well, let's go back to the good times, the memories. Where did Taft get his nimbleness to write these lyrics? And these lyrics are so futuristic and so spaced out, because I just listened to Back to the Future, and that other song I played, which you were telling me about, This Is the End, or The End Is Near.
Yeah.
It's all over now. And yeah, they're so and it's now we talk. I'm jumping around, but we talked about influences. I want people to know what Roger Waters and Gilmore said to you about Nectar and Taft, particularly, because they were so. And now I can't listen to Pink Floyd without thinking of Nectar.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard many things saying in private to somebody else, and they would tell me something that, David Gilmour or Roger Waters and this, that, I have no idea how that band did not make it and we did, and there's our rainbow stripes everywhere, and I have no idea because they influenced us.
Well, they were about 3 years ahead of the Floyd, basically.
Yeah.
I guess, or Floyd actually was 66, 67, but when Sid Barrett died, that's when I think the influence of Nectar came in more.
Yeah.
Because Gilmore and Rogers went away from psychedelia more to the progressive, the stuff,
David Gilmour,
Yeah.
His guitar playing too is like, Taft would actually say that, so that'd probably be one thing that maybe I would just get up and just go, I'd like to just get up and go jam and just.
Yeah, and he seems to be a really nice person. He's older now. He's got his kids. His wife actually writes with him now. His wife writes his lyrics. Yeah.
He did not disconnect his wife from anything.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
Got some slack for it.
Yeah. Well, tell me about how you wrote the Prophet material.
Yeah.
Right. Prodigal Son.
Me and Taft showed up. We went up the stairs, and it was right after Roy. It was a very special moment that only Roy, Taft, and I had on video.
Well, who was Ray Hardwick? He was a drummer, but he was in that band with Prodigal Son. He was the drummer for that, right? Right. So you wrote those lyrics with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
As a matter of fact, when I left the room, come back, and I just thought, maybe you wanted a break from me or the camera, whatever, because he'd hand me the clipboard, and I'd put the thing on the tripod, and I would just go out. And I would write lyrics, and it's funny because I said this one line and about Susan is driving, and then Pat says, that doesn't make sense, And Roy goes, it does make sense. Very.
Well, that's like with John Lennon and Paul McCartney. John would say, I don't like that part. And Paul would say, no, you leave that in because you need someone to give you that extra that extra brain to think, oh, yeah, this is not bad. I'll leave it in. Yeah, and Paul and John, you need someone to bounce off of.
Yes, you did. He wrote like that song, a song called KEYBOARDIST, and that was actually about Roy going under the knife, and they woke him up. And no one knows this, but he was lying down in the bed, and they woke him up out of the coma. when it was too early and it started
and
smashing.
and
And they had to put it back under.
yeah,
again.
and
Day 9, coming back to, which I can relate to.
right.
I had a barbaric back surgery, and I was elevated above myself.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was like, when he was explaining that to me.
Was that from the drums, or was it just hereditary?
No, sadly enough, I went to go do a landscaping job for a drum set.
Yeah.
Some band asked me to do something really heavy, and I
Yeah.
did it. And I moved it.
You moved wrong.
Yeah, and then.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
This doctor.
Wow.
He just didn't do a very
Wow.
good job.
Wow. And tell me that I know Taft played the Hammond B3.
Yep.
For the whole.
Wurlitzers.
Yeah. Now you have a lot of his equipment.
I got it all.
You got it all. Tell us about that.
So.
Because I and folks, I got to put the camera back on me.
And
I've seen the equipment.
Yeah.
I've seen the mixing boards, 12-track, that legendary records were recorded on, and demo tapes, etc., etc. So I just want Angela to give us a quick rundown without showing any equipment. What's in the storeroom? Yeah.
All of Taft's keyboards. Many songs that Taft wrote and I wrote together that I hope to share here with all you guys.
Right.
Many pedals. Taft's rig was fantastic. He was able to duplicate the sound of a Hammond organ because of a keyboard I put together for him with a Roland pedal that sounded exactly like a Leslie, because when Roy came over there and heard it, it says, Taft, I can hear the wood in it. I can actually almost smell the wood in it. Like the wood from the Wurlitzer.
Wow.
So he just looked, and he goes, where'd you get that from? And he points over to me. He says, she builds everything. She builds all my boards, just everything, builds everything. So next thing you know, now I'm building a big pedal board for Roy.
Right.
And I got a picture of it. So,
right.
And I haven't actually.
Yeah, we have to. Well, what we're going to do in future episodes.
And boys,
and I want to.
That's for sale.
Yeah. We were talking, and I want to thank everyone who subscribes to Tony's LPs or Us, who watches. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It helps us out for us to do things like this, because we're doing this. We need to get Angel's story out, because I was just shocked, and I'm from Jersey, and I met Angel, and Angel's from Jersey. I'm going, how could this be? I would have took Taft out to dinner had I known Taft was here, and you said Taft and I would have gotten along. Right. Now, what other equipment? I know you said you have the racks, the mixing boards,
guitars, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A whole lot of stuff.
Show us this. Show. Yeah. Yeah.
I just want the world knowing that this is actually going on in the world, okay? Because while I was losing Taft, and after I lost Taft, I needed help, and I couldn't find it. And I'm inside. I was in front of the hotel room because I had an incident happen in the house where the mechanics had to come. I had a gentleman come that did this to me. Now, this says that care from others, that Taft always tried to change the world with his music. His lyrics, if you listen to him, he always tried to make the world a better place.
They were always inspiring. They were always inspiring.
Yeah. He'd be devastated if he saw that somebody beat me up in my own house.
Yeah, but you know what? God forbid it wasn't worse. He was watching over you. And then
I truly feel.
There's look at what's happening today. There's, God forbid, there's shootings every day now.
Yep.
And I try to bring people together with music, and kids now are getting back into vinyl. You were always into vinyl. Kids are getting back into the old bands like Nectar.
Was my savior.
Right.
Music was my.
How long did you play drums for?
I was a prodigy since I was 5 years old.
Really?
I picked up a pair of 7/8 jazz sticks, and I was listening to Steve Miller and all the old stuff that they had lying around.
Yeah.
That was in my adopted family. And
right.
I was money.
Now, who drummer? Now you knew Charlie Watts. You knew Beck. Tell us about your Jeff Beck relationship. Yeah. Because Beck loved you.
Yes. Nadia. He played Nadia. I'm Russian, so that song's very Russian.
Let me see that. Yeah.
Now Taft, and Jeff were very, very, very close. Meaning, as far as the same kind of ball wax as a fantastic musician, but they had no ego, and they didn't. Jeff could have. He is still known as the world's best drummer, but he could have went so much further. But
Beck, guitar player.
He actually was playing for that for that moment, for somebody. Like,
Right.
you know,
It was
somebody in that
well.
audience.
It's like when you hear Coltrane or Miles Davis, they're playing for themselves.
Or Jeff Buckley.
Yeah, they're not, or the drummers that you know, they don't even know how to duplicate what they played.
No.
It's just that it's like in Jeff Beck,
Yeah.
because I've seen him play every style.
And you know what? Jeff Beck's hands are it's just wild. Jeff Beck's hands are the exact same size as mine from
Really,
pinky to there. And
Really?
So is Taft.
really.
So when I put my hand up like that, it's just like when you put your
Well, how tall was Taff? Was Taff?
well, I'm 5'6", very. It's
He's
exactly like Mick Jagger.
oh really? So Mick Jagger's only 5'6".
Yeah.
He looks so much taller
Yeah.
because he's thin.
Yeah, Mick Jagger might be a little bit
Yeah,
taller.
maybe 5'9" or something. Yeah, right.
That song, I'm just waiting for a friend.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love that. Well, they're standing in the neighborhood.
That's Taft doing that little funny dance. That's what he would.
That's what he would do. Yeah. Well, him and Keith are watching the people go by, just waiting on a friend. Yeah. From Tattoo You, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And who's not waiting for a friend?
Yeah. Well, what did Taff? Well, I want to get back to like, I'm still fascinated that Gilmore and Roger Waters flew into Trenton from the UK or wherever they were on tour. And what did they say to you? They tapped you on your shoulder?
Yeah. Well,
he knew you, right?
Yeah, Roger Waters tapped me on the shoulder. So he come to say, you know.
Right.
And I just noticed that they were there and they were like, but I noticed a lot of other people in the audience too.
Right.
And what they do is they deserve their privacy too. They come in, they wear hats or whatever, you know, they sit down and they're there for the show. Now they know a lot of people that showed up there actually that they knew this might be the last time that we get to see the actual all original members of this.
Sure.
And plus it was cozy.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Madison Square Garden, so
yeah,
like shows like that.
Yeah, that was intimate. It was
yeah.
Like of all the places in the world, Trenton, New Jersey, they could have filled the Garden.
Yeah.
Or any outside venue,
Absolutely.
You know, because I worked in a record store in Elizabeth, and that's how I got turned on to Nectar. And then at WNEW FM in New York used to play back Return to the Future, you know,
yep.
And they played that album to death. And I think they also broadcast a few concerts that may be on vinyl now.
Remember the Future.
Remember the Future, yeah. Yeah, live. Some live things there.
Some of them actually came from just very, very good bootlegs made, you know.
Yeah, well, there's always bootlegs, yeah, but I think Remember the Future was their big UK break. I mean, US break, and then A Tab in the Ocean. Now I have a promo of that, and it looks like from what I have, I know that was their third album or second album. Third, after Return to the Future. Remember the Future. I might keep on mixing up. I'm watching that. I'm watching the poster here, and it said that Mo may have remixed that for the UK for the US release. I'm not sure.
You know, I've got to be a little bit confused about that.
Yeah.
You know, Mo has not reached out. Sadly enough, while Taft was on the earth, I reached out to Mo while actually Taft was dying.
Well, I hope Mo's watches. I hope Mo reaches out to you and tries to assist you. Yeah.
Says, I wanted to cheer Taft up, you know, lift him up like he lifts everybody else up with his music. So I saw that they're making all these remasters, and I said, can I just have one of each that Taft's on? And they didn't respond. And then I got something that was even more insane. It says I got to pay for them all, and I said I got to pay for Taft's own music. I says I'm disabled.
Right.
And I said I don't understand. I says, you know, if you're not getting royalties, then you got to buy Taft's music. I said when they're being sold left and right. I said right now at the moment, you know, I see T-shirts being made, hoodies being made by this purple company and red company. They're making very expensive shirts, like hoodies. Every one of the albums, all like, you know, 75 of them, you know, all these are being remastered. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but, you know, royalties work when the person who invented them is married to their beloved one. The spouse gets it.
What did Taft want for you when he was passed? When he was
it right in his will.
He says it right in his will.
Every single thing to my wife, who I am, who I breathe, every fiber that I am, every decision, every direction, everything to my wife Angel, my drummer girl. Yep, that's right. It's right in the will.
Right.
Flat.
Do you have an email that people can reach out to you? Do you know it, or you want me to put it up
Sure.
later?
Fidgety Queen.
Yeah. Can you Fidgety Queen?
Yeah, Fidgety Queen. You can do a Fidgety Queen at Gmail.
Okay, I'll get that. I'll
That's a
get that.
Nectar song too.
Yeah, I'll get that later, and we'll post it.
Yeah.
And because whatever you want, you could correspond with them, and just show us what you have here. These are things that were in the studio.
Sure.
These posters here, like this looks really cool. This looks like final performance before returning to Europe, passport, Nectar, and this was an original bill that was probably
It was,
someone
and
stole off the wall.
Yeah, and Taft was the only one who had it.
Wow.
Taft was the only one who had it, and now it's actually on the original Nectar site because somebody actually came to our report.
Made a copy of it.
Made a copy of it and cut the frame out.
Oh, okay. And here, this is something that's extraordinary. Just going to do a close up here. This has, as you can see, Down to Earth, Astral Man,
Yep.
Nectar 1974. This is a quadro stereo. So this may even be a quad. I'm not sure if this record was released in quad.
He's got two of these.
Yeah, and here's, I'm going to read the inscription. It says, I guess in German, presented to Alan Freeman, 25,000 sold, maybe, Nectar Down to Earth, 1975, because it's in German, if I could get that.
Yeah, that's
But
German.
that's really cool. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow, it's really cool. But I
just to think all they did after, all my husband did after this,
yeah, that's true. Like 75, they were just hitting their stride.
Yeah.
And
then that sounds like Swiss. You just know when you watch that, this is special what we're watching. This is something we're witnessing that's very special happening
right
before me. And I tell you, anybody that saw that, they that's seen that. And somebody actually sent me a copy of that. I actually didn't get it from Derek Momore. An actual beautiful fan sent that because they heard that I was not receiving anything.
Right.
And Taft was dying. And some fan put that in my mailbox and I cried. And just looking at him, seeing him on the box was mind blowing. But when I put that on and I see Roy and him going back and forth, and this same beautiful playing.
Yeah, there's for people out there. There's clips of it on YouTube, or you could find the full DVD.
Smoking really beautiful thing to this most heavenly, like now you're on a cloud. You're on a cloud.
Right.
You're in outer space.
Right. Well, what was life on the road like with them? Was it a lot of fun? Was it hard work?
No, it's actually very hard work.
Right.
Basically, you're on the tour bus. You get out. You got to do the sound check. You do the sound check. Then after the sound check, you go back to the hotel. Then after you go back up to the hotel, then you go back out. Then you got to go hit stage. And if you're playing there more than one night, you got to repeat it. But then you hit the stage, and then you go back and you sleep. And if there's another gig the next day, you're right back on the tour bus.
How many roadies did you have? That's a lot of equipment. You must have had about 4 or 5 roadies.
Not enough.
You probably helped out. You probably helped out moving equipment.
Yeah,
right.
Not enough. And actually, one of the things that Taft was concerned about, that he said, well, either somebody's going to make a mistake here, or something's going to happen with the gear, or
Was gear ever lost or stolen?
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so. Right.
Tour too. Yeah.
Right.
So he just wanted to make sure that he came home with everything.
Now Taft was a proud Scot, and you were really good friends with Sean.
Yeah.
And his wife.
And as a matter of fact, he's got a tattoo on him, says Scotland forever.
Sean does.
Yes.
Right.
Very, very proud.
Right. Well, even through the Bond movies, it was on his arm.
Yeah.
I was, like I said, since I was young, I've been collecting Sean Connery.
Wife the same thing that I did.
Right.
She was like, but I had 6, 12 people rotating to take care of my guy. Like, how do you do that by yourself? People said,
Oh, sure.
When you do it by yourself. Sure. But I kept the promise to Taft that I would keep it. I don't recommend this to anybody to do this by themselves, because you really do need support. You need the support. And if you end up alone and you don't have family and you're actually adopted, this actually happens to people. They end up very alone, and they end up in a house full of gear and have no friends because they've been out on the road. Yeah. And they're just alone.
And they're older now.
Yeah.
Tad was born.
Exactly.
Tad would have been what, 77, 78?
Very young.
Yeah. You were younger than Tad.
I was born in 1965. So
right.
It's a big age.
Yeah. But he wanted you to be taken care of. He wanted you to get. He wanted you to reap his legacy. Right. Right.
Please don't stay alone. Please, please fall in love. Please get friends. Please. I don't think you realize how the world was.
What made him move to Jersey? Is-
The band, actually.
Oh, the band, the band.
The music.
That's so, for me, it's like out of all the places, but you're close to New York, close to Philly,
Yeah,
hop on a plane, you're in LA. And I guess tax wise, it was less than the UK
yeah.
that would pay you high,
And it was
high,
exciting.
high
It
income
was exciting
taxes.
for British people to go on this Europe.
Yeah, yeah, in the 70s, right? 70s, yeah.
James
And it was
Bond.
rural.
Yeah,
You know, where you lived in Chatham and Chester, it was rural. Now,
yeah,
well, first of all, you had to be a rock star to live in some of those towns,
yeah.
money wise.
Yeah.
But now you have a beautiful place here, and I know you want, you know, you just want to let people know out there. And we'll put your website down that you do have equipment.
Looking for some
You know?
great friends.
Yeah.
Some great equipment.
Yeah, some great memories. And if any
Sweet souls.
any magazines out there that want to really, I'm not a journalist, I'm just friends with Angel, not a journalist, we just want to put this out there, but really this story needs to get out. This story needs to get out because so we really need to do this. And you know, any other thoughts that you want to share with about your husband?
Um, just that a good man, a very good man, should not be go and unrecognized ever, whether they're a rock star or whether they're not. And Taft was a rock star, and he had no ego at all. You know, he put other people first, and that's what made him play music in the first place. He looked over his mom's table in Scotland, and there wasn't enough food on it, and he saw that look in her face and said, I don't want to ever see that face."
Well,
So he went out and started to play like for free in hospital wards, and for a long time, for a very long time, in these hospital wards. And he would go there, and he said there was nothing like looking out at that audience and see that sort of like somebody with one arm or or lost their legs, and you see them clapping. You're just like, wow, this makes it worth everything right here.
What I heard yesterday, because we've been preparing for this, believe it or not, for a long time, trying to get our schedules together. Things happen. I had to go away. Angel was getting some things set up, but I'm being reintroduced again to Nectar, and I've been telling my friends that are audiophiles, oh yeah, I've got this album, I got that album, and I listen to the Tab in the Ocean, the Future, and the Child one with Brooke Shields is on it. I did not know that. But those are majestic records.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are all on there. The lyrics are printed on the record and on the inner.
Yeah.
And it's just ahead of their time. It's 50 years old, but they could have been written yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you think where do you get this gift from? Well, plus the band, all of them, but
he's
was he
one of these guys that just sits down and, honestly, it's almost like a Beatle thing. He just sits down and Roy used to call him the Melody Man. The Melody Man.
Was he the one who did the melody first, or would they do the melody first or the lyrics?
Roy said, that's a great way to put it. He says, you know something? Whenever I played with Taft, he says, I played with another keyboard player, and it was stiff, or, he goes, but there was always like this little sparks falling off his fingertips. And it was so, he says, it was just so, it came so easy to him. And he says, and he said actually this to me. He says, don't tell this to Taft. And it was really cute, but it was very honest. He says, I got a confession to make. I said, what's that? He says, I copied everything that Taft did, but on my guitar.
He just echoed what? Yeah.
And that's what makes him like so good. I copped a lot of Taft.
Well, it's funny because Chuck Berry actually did that from his keyboard player. Forget his name now, but people who play guitar say, yeah, all of Chuck's notes are in the key of piano keys.
Yeah.
And he just, it's a chemistry. They were brothers.
Yeah.
They all looked out for each other. They were all young. They were all,
Taft looked after Roy is what Taft did.
Yeah, I could see they were probably the closest. They were probably the closest. Right.
Roy, I would have to say, this is a true story. He decked every person that was in the band except for Taft, and that says a lot.
Really?
They just did, outburst, why you get
right.
But Taft was always the one that, it's so late, calm down, mate, and bring him back to the room.
Well, would they be, when they went into the studio, were they rehearsed, or this was all improv?
They honest to God, Taft goes up the stairs to make Prodigal Son, and there was like a couple ideas floating around, and they just went at it as if like they hadn't lost anything. It's just like Taft goes over to the keyboards and he just starts playing, and everything came natural. It all came natural, and that's when you know that somebody's been together for a very long time playing, and to have that chemistry. it can't be denied, and that's one thing I hear that a lot from a lot of people saying, when you watch that Sounds Like Swiss, they're joined at the hips after they start playing.
Well, when you
It's like a tornado.
when you listen to Nectar or bands like Nectar or bands like Rush or Kansas and I think, and yes, I know a few people from Yes ended up playing in some of the later versions of Nectar, but they're not the Ramones.
No.
They're not two chords. This is Bach. This is classical Beethoven.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
majestic.
Complicated
It's
signatures.
complicated. Oh, the changes
The changes.
were like the changes
Time
were just
changes.
yeah, time changes. I'm listening to them yesterday. I'm going,
They
this is fucking unbelievable.
They think with Frank Zappa, and
Yeah,
Frank
Zappa was a big fan, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Big
Did you ever meet Frank?
So he goes, this is what he do. He point and be like, take a solo. And if he point to that guy, he, honest to God, Frank Zappa, he didn't smoke, he didn't do anything. But he would get all the guys, the rest of the guys, be like, don't tell Frank, and they go to the Nectar room, just have like a little puff.
Right.
They go out there and play. But then Frank Zappa, he was so very, I never drank, he hardly did anything. He was very, very straight man. And then he pointed to the guy, and when he pointed to that guy, he had to take a solo, and you had to be on your toes, because if you missed anything, Frank would be like, he'd get mad.
Yeah.
But you know what? In all return, like, they actually didn't get mad at it. Like, if you messed up, he'd say something, but he said it was only because they wanted to make them a better musician.
Right. Yeah.
And
You want him to be able to think on his feet.
Live, you can't be live. When you're live, you're in that moment.
Yeah. You're in that zone.
You're on your toes.
In that zone. All right. Well, we covered some good ground, and like I said, I'll get your email. We'll put it on there.
Yeah.
People are looking at it. You could share this later.
And as Frank said, the stuff that's going on in the world right now, people not getting credit. Don't eat the yellow snow.
Right. Yeah. Well, hopefully it won't be a lot of snow this year. It's it's almost fall. Summer's over. It's August. But we really want to thank you for taking the time out. Yeah. I know it's not easy. You had a lot on your mind, and you were you're very polite about it. You're very gracious. And what you said is heartfelt. Yeah, so I think that's it. So keep rocking.
Right on.
Yeah, keep rocking. Okay, we're gonna pause this out. But like I said, please subscribe. If you have any comments, leave them. If you have any comments for Angel and you can't get through the email, I'll pass them along. We're gonna be keeping in contact, and let's try to give her a hand. Let's try to help her out here.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Ciao. Keep rocking.